What's good, beautiful people? So today we're back again with another Premiere Pro tutorial, and today we're talking about 5 tips you should know to help you master Premiere Pro. So today I'm giving you guys not really a full breakdown, but 5 keys, 5 tips, 5 pro tips that I use while editing every video in Premiere Pro, in hopes that you take these tips, take this knowledge, and be able to apply it so that you can become a better editor, a better videographer, and yeah, just create all better round videos. So let's go ahead and jump on the computer. Once you're actually in Premiere Pro, the one thing that you must do and gotta do is to make sure that your sequence settings are properly set up. So once you're in Premiere Pro, you may see a tab or a pop-up menu that looks like this before you actually start editing your video. And when you're here, for me, what I do is, one, I always edit in a 1920 by 1080 timeline, but then also that timeline is also has a time code or a time base of 23.976 or 24 frames per second. And as you can see, video 1920 by 1080 and 23.976. And it's also again seen here. So before you actually start editing and importing your files into your project folder, make sure your sequence settings are properly set up. And you don't have to use a 1080 timeline, but you know, this is what I do. All right, so now that you actually have your timeline set up correctly, tip number 2 is importing your footage into bins. So as you can see here on this bottom left hand side, I have 3 folders titled MX, RAW, and VO. So MX is my music folder with all of my video files located in it, and then so on and so forth for RAW folder being every raw video file that I recorded in multiple folders depending on if it's multiple cameras. Then VO is for voiceover, where there's for if I recorded audio actually on location. So having folders is definitely a must, with 1, staying organized, but then 2, having a speedy workflow to be able to locate files and other digital assets that you need to enhance your edit. So yeah, use bins, stay organized, be a professional. Like, that's the whole point, right? So we have that. All right, tip number 3 is to use adjustment layers. So as you can see here, I have 2 adjustment layers, and me personally, I like to stack my adjustment layers if I'm adding multiple effects to be able to easily go back and forth, similar to like in Premiere, not Premiere, but Photoshop. If you're actually using layers, it's easier to add effects on layers, so you can easily go back and adjust each particular layer to, you know, fine tune your edit. So same thing is with adjustment layers. So it's way easier to, you know, edit on an adjustment layer, and if you mess up, to either delete it and start with a new adjustment layer, in comparison to actually editing off an actual video clip, not like in what you've done, deleting the video clip, going back in your project folders, finding that video file, finding the right in and out points again, and then beginning your editing process all over again. Whereas you can simply just hit delete, add in a new project or a new adjustment layer, and you're kind of good to go. So for example, you can see here I have 2 adjustment layers, and you can see kind of how I stack them to get the proper color grade that I want. So this first adjustment layer is simply just a very basic correction with, you know, minor adjustments to my highlights and shadows and my blacks. And then the second is a more artistic, creative look where we started to add in, you know, some color. So yeah, use adjustment layers, you know, stack your edits, just make life easier for you, you know, way much easier. Tip number 4 is to use presets. So what I mean by this is that if we come over here to our Essentials Sound tab, whether if you have a tab or if you actually want to go to your audio workspace, doesn't matter. Here you can see that if I actually select this audio clip, we can come over here and actually designate a specific title or a specific format for what that audio is, whether it's dialogue, music, sound effects, or just regular ambient noise. So for me, that is a talking head. So I'll select dialogue, and then here you see it has a preset tab, and within that preset tab, we have a number of presets Adobe Premiere Pro gives you for editing audio. Now, if you're like me and you're 100% not an audio engineer, you're not as well at sound design, use the resources available to you. Use these resources, edit it to the best of your ability. And yeah, use the presets given to you. Make life easier. That's the whole point. The fifth and final tip is export settings. So as you guys know, all of my videos that I upload here on YouTube are uploaded in 4K. But as I just told you all, I edit all of my videos in a 1080p timeline. So how do I get my videos to be 4K? Well, it's easy. When exporting out my project is very simple. So when you're exporting out a video file, you'll see a window that looks something like this, right? So the key is to make sure that you're on H.264 for format, and then under preset, like with our Essential Sound tab, we have a number of options to choose from. And way down here at the bottom, look what we have here. YouTube 2160p 4K Ultra HD. So again, use the presets that are there for you. So I select that preset. It automatically, with the technology or the wizardry of AI, automatically upscales the video to a full 4K video. And as you can see here with our width and height, it is 3840 by 2160. And that's exactly what the aspect ratio for 4K is. Now, taking it a step further to make sure that we get the highest video quality out of our export, we're going to select a couple of things. So the first thing we select is render at maximum depth. Next, we're going to scroll all the way down to when we see bitrate settings, and we're going to select VBR 2-pass. Again, for our target bitrate, we're going to select or type in 80. It's defaulted to 40, but 80 is kind of like a good sweet spot. You can crank it higher to like 300, but I've never gone that high. I have tried like 100, and my computer didn't even finish the export, so I stick with 80 now. So yeah, if you guys go higher, so be it. If not, and you're doing this, right on. And then the last thing that I select is use maximum render quality. So by selecting all of this is just again ensuring that all the information and data and bitrate is at the highest or maximum quality possible to ensure that your video quality is again attained and outputted in its highest quality possible. So there you have it. Those are my 5 tips and tricks that I use day in and day out within Premiere Pro. If you guys found this video helpful and useful in any type of way, please make sure to hit that like button. And if you aren't already, please consider subscribing to the channel to be notified for future videos, whether it's tutorials, vlogs, documentaries, passion projects, or whatever the case may be. But until next time, peace. This is like my 4th time actually filming this. It took me a minute to figure out actually how to get this shit working so you guys can see everything, but finally figured out a way, so we're here. But nonetheless,